Hello, everyone. We have a good number of people that have already joined us, so I want to get started. Good evening. I am Representative Young Kim, your representative for California's 39th District. That includes parts of Los Angeles, Orange, and San Bernardino counties. I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your busy evening to join my virtual Small Business Resources Town Hall. I am excited to have Mr. Michael Daniel, Ms. Manarisha, and Vartan Jehanian, and Mr. Ron Galati, and Mr. Adam Jones, and Mr. Godfrey Hines with us tonight. They will be sharing their expertise and answer your questions on resources available to small businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. As we begin, I want to first start with recent news that the IRS has moved the deadline to file your 2020 taxes to May 17. This is a little more than 1 month longer than the original April 15 deadline. But I encourage you, if you have not already filed your taxes, I urge you to do so. The COVID-19 pandemic is very real, and it has impacted each of our lives in many different ways, but impacted every single one of us. Many of us have lost loved ones and friends, including my own mother-in-law. And we have too many of us know small businesses that have had to permanently close their doors. We must be focused on helping small businesses to stay open and keep their employees on their payroll. Though through the grants and loans from the federal government, increased vaccine distribution and COVID-19 workforce safety precautions, we can follow the science to safely reopen our businesses and local economy so people can return to work and their normal daily lives. I am excited about the work that I've been doing in Congress to help small businesses stay open and thrive again once the pandemic is over. I'm also honored to have our guests from the local, national, and federal levels to share information on resources available for entrepreneurs and businesses during COVID-19. Yesterday, the House of Representatives passed my bipartisan bill to extend the deadline for the Paycheck Protection Program. The Ppp Extension Act extends the deadline for small businesses to apply for a new PPP loan to May 31st and allows the Small Business Administration 30 more days to process applications. This is crucial to our small businesses as they do their best to stay open during the current pandemic and state and local lockdowns. Last month, the Biden administration made 5 changes to the PPP process. This deadline extension will allow small business owners to adjust to the recent changes and make sure the hundreds of billions in PPP funds that have been unspent for months so that they can get into the hands of those who need it. You know, I fought for over $160 billion in COVID-19 vaccine and distribution funding to get more people vaccinated in our community. The faster we can all be vaccinated, the faster we can fully reopen our economy. This is something that both sides of the aisle can agree on. So I've introduced a bipartisan bill to help small businesses get COVID-19 tests, PPE, and other supplies to safely reopen for employees and customers. Through my position on the Small Business Committee, I fought to get $15 billion of unspent COVID-19 relief to restaurants and give the SBA new tools to investigate fraudulent applications for their COVID-19 economic injury disaster loans, the EIDL loans. We have to work together to get through the pandemic, and I will continue to do all I can to get through the gridlock and get things done. Now that I've talked about my work for you in Congress, I want to now turn the floor over to our panelists to introduce themselves to you. So let's go around the room and introduce our panelists. Mr. Galati, do you want to start?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Congresswoman Kim, for the invite. I work for the Small Business Administration. My name is Ron Galati. We're in the office, we're in Santa Ana, covering the Orange County Inland Empire area. And as my functional lender relations specialist, I deal largely with lenders, but many, many businesses as well. Again, thanks for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Hi, Congresswoman Kim. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you tonight. I am an outreach and marketing specialist with the SBA's Orange County Inland Empire District Office, and I am actually one of the newer members of the team. I joined just under a year ago and was actually able to be hired through the CARES Act as an emergency hire to help out small businesses through the pandemic. So I'm definitely excited to be here and excited to help wherever we can.
Thank you. Let's go to Ms. Risha.
Thank you, Congresswoman Kim. Manar Risha, we're Director of the CSCF North Small Business Development Center. Our goal is to help business owners with everything they need from starting to growing and expanding their business. And we are excited to be here to be able to share resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel.
Hi there. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Kim, for having us on. My name is Mike Daniel. I'm the Regional Director for the Small Business Development Center Network of Orange County and Inland Empire. We're here to help you as you learn about all these programs. We really are the boots on the ground. We have 100 consultants here to help you through all of these different programs. So whatever you find that fits tonight or other things, we're here to help you through it. We are all business owners ourselves going through the same issues. So, thank you for having us, and we're excited to share more as we go on with this presentation.
Mr. Jahanian.
Thanks, Congresswoman, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. My name is Barton Jahanian. I'm with the Western region of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I cover California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and Hawaii. And we're here to help support chambers of commerce and small businesses navigate through some of these federal stimulus programs. And we're looking forward to the discussion tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Hines.
Yes, good evening, Congresswoman. On behalf of our District Director, Mr. Alberto Quijada, he sends his warmest welcome. He couldn't be here this afternoon because of a previous engagement, but I am Godfrey Hines. I am the lead economic development specialist here at the SBA, and we're confident that the information we'll provide will be informative and be the latest information. And we hope that your constituents will have the best benefit of all of the exciting panelists that we have here today. So on behalf of myself and Mr. Quijada, thank you for having us, and we look forward to the meeting.
Awesome. So now what we're going to do is ask each of our speakers and panelists joining us to make a short presentation, and then we'll go to the questions. So Mr. Galati and Mr. Jones, would you like to begin your presentation on PPP loans, the EIDL loans, the targeted EIDL advance and shuttered venue grants?
Absolutely. I'm going to go to my screen that I have available here. Hopefully you're seeing this presentation screen.
Yes.
To look visible to you and you're hearing me well. So the topics we're going to address are umbrellaed under basically the Economic Aid Act, the American Rescue Plan Act. American Aid Act was of course passed December 27th, 2020 last year, and American Rescue Plan was just passed, I believe it was last week. So, and of course we know the CARES Act is part of this as well, and you'll see some of that through these programs. But this is what the topics are going to, under these programs or under these acts, the topics we'd like to address are the Paycheck Protection Program. This is really a relaunch as of January the 11th, and it's going to carry through right currently to March 31st. And we're very pleased to hear, Congresswoman, that this program could be extended. We're hearing a lot of businesses ask for that. I mean, there seems like they can use that second draw. So that's going to be very helpful. And I think some of the slowdown we had with some of the hold codes, et cetera, will, again, that will go away as more so when we can get the extension. Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, we know what it entailed last year, offering those. Adam's going to cover what that program looks like going forward. And we definitely extended that to the 31st of December of this year. A targeted EIDL advance is something new. I'm going to let Adam cover that. That's going to hopefully be able to provide additional funding, basically a grant for those businesses that are, again, hardest hit, that received some advance early on, but have not received the full 10,000 that was originally the maximum amount. Shuttered venue operators grant That's a new program as well, covered on the Economic Aid Act. And there's additional funding. We're waiting to hear what that's about. We have, right now, we know there's $15 billion that was allocated as part of the Economic Aid Act. Information more forthcoming on that. Restaurant Revitalization Fund was part of the recent American Rescue Plan Act, and that's $28 billion. SBA debt relief, that's for those borrowers that had SBA loans last year and then new loans this year. There's going to be principal and interest payments made anywhere from 3 months extension to as much as 5 months additional relief as well. So, and then temporary modifications to our 7A and 504 programs. These are our bread and butter loan programs that we're seeing the ability to increase the guarantee on those loans. And particularly in the 7A I'm talking to, and the 504, and both of these are going to have waivers as far as fees going forward, new lender fees and basically ongoing regulation and fees and servicing fees. So just as a quick overview, the two key programs that we've been working through are the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, as we said. That is truly a loan program. And then we have the Paycheck Protection Program, a loan program on its face, but if you follow the conditions to meet forgiveness, it becomes a grant. The loan program in the EIDL, I'm gonna let Adam spend more time on it, but it is a low interest rate, maturity of out to 30 years, whereas the Paycheck Protection Program, if you have a balance remaining after forgiveness, will be at 1% for out to as maximum of 5 years. The numbers you see on the left side here are for the EIDL program, over $200 billion, 3.7 million businesses helped, and that's through March 14th, starting last year in March through today, through March 14th. Likewise, on the Paycheck Protection Program, $704 billion, 7.9 million businesses receiving those benefits. So you can see it's a very big, very sizable programs, actually huge programs is more descriptive. With regard to where we're at today on the relaunch of the PPP program, we've basically funded almost $182 billion in the first 63 days, starting with January 11th. That means we have 17 more days left. And if you extrapolate out the run rate, we should have somewhere in the order of 60 billion left in the amount that was allocated by virtue of the Economic Aid Act. So we're glad to see it. Again, the extension will help, and we can use those funds over that period of time. 75% of these funds have been less than $50,000 in loan amount, and 86% less than 100,000. The average loan size has continued to come down. We're at 66,000 now. So we're happy to see that we're serving the smaller businesses in the small business world, as well as some of those larger businesses. The second draw PPP loans are making up about 88% of the loans, which we glad to see, because we understood that there were going to be others that coming in from last year that really aren't out of this COVID crisis yet and need that additional funding. In California, we've been a beneficiary of $1.1 billion of approved funding, impacting 289,000 businesses. And we're the largest of the states. I think New York is the next with about 14 billion. Just a perspective, 60% of these loans this year we've been tracking are to these major categories of next codes, which is the accommodations and food services, no surprise there, construction, professional, scientific, and technical services, healthcare and social assistance, and manufacturing. And you can see the percentages over here. So we're talking 110 billion of the 181 billion, as you see the largest percentage being accommodations and food services. I'm going to let Adam, our outreach marketing specialist, go through some of these new announcements we have, emphasizing some of the things we mentioned earlier. Adam?
Thanks, Ron, and thanks again, Congresswoman, for having us. So these are some of the latest updates from the American Rescue Plan Act that was signed into law on March 11th by President Biden, and essentially providing a lot more funding to the various coronavirus relief programs, including an additional $7.25 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program, Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program also is receiving additional funding, and we'll go into the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant in just a little bit. An additional $15 billion for the Targeted Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance, which includes $5 billion for supplemental targeted idle advance payments to those businesses that have suffered the greatest revenue losses. It also has created the Restaurant Revitalization Fund with $28.6 billion to help restaurants. And stay tuned because we are learning and getting more information on that. That is a new program that we're excited to announce and be able to share as we go forward. And finally, $100 million to establish a community navigator pilot program with grants that will be going to SBA resource partners, tribes, nonprofits, and local community organizations who are supporting the efforts to improve small business owners' access to COVID-19 assistance programs and resources. Additionally, there has been deferment has been extended for disaster loan payments. So for any SBA disaster loan, including the COVID-19 economic injury disaster loans, payments have been deferred additional months. So any disaster loan that was taken in calendar year 2020, the deferral period has been extended from 12 months to 24 months. Disaster loans taken in 2021 are being extended from 12 months to 18 months. And disaster loans approved prior to the disaster, March 1st, 2020 or before, had already had a deferral period extended to March 31st. It's now being granted an additional deferral period of 12 months, so payments would not be due until 2022. And the goal here is that hopefully by the time payments do come due for these loans, we will be much further away from COVID-19. And so the loan payments will be much more affordable to those small business owners who had borrowed through the disaster loan programs. This change actually was announced a little bit earlier. This has to do with the Biden administration's announcements and changes for PPP that was announced in February 24th. But we want to highlight it because it is very important for our Schedule C filers who are going to be small business owners who are self-employed, independent contractors, who use Schedule C to file your business income. And it changes the maximum loan calculation for the PPP loan from using line 31, which was your net profit loss, to now being able to use line 7, which is your gross income, which should significantly increase the maximum loan you're able to get through the PPP program. We want to point out that this is still available. Additionally, you may have heard about the 14-day exclusivity window that President Biden had announced as part of these PPP changes. That window has now closed, but there was some confusion over that window. We want to point out that was not a deadline to apply for the program. So even though we're out of that 14-day exclusivity window for businesses with fewer than 20 employees, it does not mean you can't take advantage of the program. The program is still open and you can apply through the deadline currently March 31st, hopefully extended through the new legislation that's in Congress now. But to take advantage of the new line 7 calculation, you want to be sure that you use the appropriate application form. There is a specific form that uses the line 7 calculation, and you need to make sure you use that and that your lender is accepting that. And
well, thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. And that is a well-received program, by the way. We're getting a lot of calls on that. A lot of people want to take advantage of it. If they couldn't do it retrospectively, which the only way you can do that retrospectively is if your loan has not been reported on a 1502 and dispersed. So as long as that hasn't occurred, you could, cancel your current application and go in for the new application. But, really looking forward, this is something that someone on a second draw certainly can take advantage of. I want to call your attention to two key sites that you're going to find all this information. It's just a matter of how easy it is to get there. And we're going to try to direct you as with the time we have to some extent. SBA.gov. Again, we'll go through that a little quickly and show how to navigate through that to find these loan programs. And then the other important website for us is going to be our Orange County somebody pissed that up. Orange County Inland Empire website, SBA website. The best way to get there, Google SBA Santa Ana. That's where we're physically located. Of course, we handle Orange County, Riverside, and San Bernardino. And when you go there, you can go under Office Directory here and get a list of all the folks in our office. And if you have to email us for questions and answers, certainly telephone numbers are there. And our resource guide will talk about all the services that we can provide, not just during this period of COVID-19 crisis, but what we can do for your businesses in terms of going forward, marketing plans, et cetera. And certainly our resource partners, they're identified here on page 11. These are all the folks that are partially funded by the SBA that services for us, whether it be Mike Daniel on the Small Business Development Center, the SCORE team, the Women's Business Center, and the Veterans Business Outreach. All those are going to be identified there with contact information. We'll also point out a site on our site where there's some more information that you want to get to very quickly. That will be additional to the SBA.gov. And importantly, we as Michael does as well, presents webinars throughout the week. We have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. We've been doing this since last March, actually. And sometimes we were doing it 5 days a week and sometimes twice a week or twice a day. But now we're down to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and tomorrow's going to be forgiveness. Every week we try to put another different topic in, but it's typically been the overview of what new programs are, the application process, which we did today, and then the forgiveness. So in order to do that, we welcome you to, and hopefully we can put this in the chat box, which is a Gov Delivery. If you sign up for Gov Delivery, you'll be given those announcements automatically. You'll be given updates on program information automatically. Also would love for you to join us at our Twitter account, which is at SBA_OCIE. So with that said, I'm going to take a quick walk through this chart here, showing what we put together. This will be on our website, the first draw and second draw. So if you're confused about what do I do a first draw, what's a second draw, this will lay it out for you on who can apply and the loan terms, the loan amount and terms, eligible uses, forgiveness, and when and where to apply. So I just want to take a quick look at this and just to let you know that in the first draw, and really the Economic Aid Act was able to expand the concerns that, or the employers that are available, this program is available to. And that included our 501c6s. We finally got those in there. We certainly additionally added some news organizations, radio stations. We added housing co-ops, destination marketing organizations, those kinds of employers. And they have to, those particular group here, the expanded is for employers with 300 or less employees. And likewise on the second draw, that doesn't change, except you do have the employee threshold now, 300 employees, no more than 300 employees for the second draw. And the other very key important part of the qualification is you have to demonstrate a 25% reduction in any quarter of 2020 versus 2019. And if you can do that along with this threshold of 300 employees and you're part of this eligible group, then you can get your second PPP loan. Now you can't get a second loan until you get your first. So get your first draw, and then hopefully you'll be able to get the second draw. And many have come in for the second draw, as I mentioned. Over 80% of those applying have been for second draw loans. The key thing here on loan amount and terms, the terms are the same, 1%, 5 years. But 2.5 times is the max you can get on the first draw, 2.5 times your average payroll cost, either using 2019 or 2020. And for the second draw, you can, if you're an X code 72 food and accommodations, receive 3.5 times. And the maximum loan amount is $2 million for the second draw, 10 million on the first, as it was through last year, August the 8th. Eligible uses has been expanded to include more contributions the employer makes on behalf of the employee, such as dental, vision, disability insurance, life insurance, whereas before we had certainly retirement contributions and the healthcare side. That's been expanded, as well as the non-payroll costs, including some specifics on property damage, supplier costs, and that's covered in the IFR, and we can certainly ask questions that those are answered. We can direct you to the right source for that. Forgiveness, a part of the Economic Aid Act, we basically now have a loan amount on the simple form up to 150,000, whereas previously only 50,000. So a lot more people, and that's probably representing maybe 85% of those that receive loans that can use this short form, the simple form, and get 100% forgiveness if they've spent it on eligible expenses and have spent 60% of those proceeds on payroll. And where to apply, again, lenders, there's a lot of lenders out there. We have a list ourselves in our district office. I'll point that out. If you're looking for a lender, we can help you. Again, keep in mind, many lenders will not take an application unless you have a banking relationship with them. We have a select few, 13 local banks and about 4 different fintech companies that will take those apps. Now, I want to also point out on the forgiveness side, well, let me go back up to this chart. So again, you as a borrower, go to your lender, your choice, submit the application online, likely, or they're going to have you complete the application and email it in. And then it's going to go, hopefully be approved by them and move over into the SBA portal and hopefully be approved relatively quickly. However, there's been a number of new programs put in place in terms of screening the applications. So we know that on first draw loans, some of these first draw loans were earmarked as potentially problematic. That means that maybe there was an EIN issue with those loans. Maybe it was a potential delinquency on a federal loan. A number of issues came up, and these have to be resolved before you can get a second loan. Those have to be taken care of. So we've had many correspondents going to lenders, some new procedures out to try to simplify that relief of those holds so the process can move on. One last point I want to make on the specific these charts is the fact that the tax implications are all good news for the small business. Those relief payments Adam was talking about, whether you're having principal and interest payments made by the SBA or you're having some of these other advantages of the expenses in terms of the Paycheck Protection Program. So if you get your loan approved, that's not going to be a taxable event for you. There will not be a 1099 created. Those expenses that you're being essentially paid by government funding, those are still deductible on your taxes. So again, from the tax standpoint, all very good news. With that said, I want to have Adam go through a couple of things on these other programs on economic injury disaster loan and shuttered venue operators grant.
Yeah, and
Adam?
keeping in mind our time, I'll try to go rather quickly. It is a lot of information, obviously, but we are here, SBDC is here to help. So if you have questions after the fact, definitely reach out to us. But the COVID-19 Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, this one is based on prior disaster loan programs that might have been used for natural disasters, Hurricane Katrina, floods, drought, things like that. So this is not a new program, but it has had some adaptations for COVID-19. The program for COVID-19 has been extended through December 31st of this year. If you have not applied already, we definitely urge you to take a look at this program because it does have very favorable loan terms for the small business owner. But that is a key difference between the COVID-19 EIDL program and PPP. This is a loan program. It is a loan that has to be paid back. There is no forgiveness feature, so that's important. But it can provide up to 6 months of working capital, which can be used for rent, utilities, fixed debt payments, payroll, things like that. It is a 3.75% interest rate, annual interest rate for businesses, or 2.75% for nonprofits with a 30-year term. There's no prepayment penalty. And again, payments are now going to be deferred for either 18 or 24 months, depending on when your loan was taken. So calendar year 21, you're going to be deferred for 18 months. Calendar year 2020, deferred for 24 months. And this is eligibility for qualified small businesses with fewer than 500 employees, or defined as through SBA size standards, but also for private nonprofits, churches, farms, agricultural enterprises, things like that. So definitely take a look at this program. The targeted EIDL advance. Now, this is the second portion of the EIDL program. This is actually a grant. And you may have heard about last year, there was the EIDL advance that looked at getting you up to $10,000 based on your employee count, $1,000 per employee up to 10. This new targeted EIDL advance, which came out through the Economic Aid Act signed into law in December, this is looking to get you the balance of that EIDL advance to the full $10,000 level. So if you applied for the COVID-19 EIDL program on or before December 27th of 2020, you may be eligible for this. The SBA will be reaching out to you through email to provide you with a link to the application process and instructions. And basically, if you received a portion of the $10,000 grant last year, this is looking to get you to the full $10,000 level. Or if you did not receive any of the grant last year, but you applied for the program before December 27th, this is looking again to get you to the full $10,000 amount. The application process for the targeted EIDL advance, there's only going to be one submission for each targeted EIDL advance, and there is no reconsideration process due to the limited targeted EIDL funds. So you really need to make sure that when you're completing the application, you are doing everything accurately, correctly. You're providing correct information. You're making sure your banking information is correct. That is a big issue if it's incorrect. So make sure before you hit submit on the application, make sure all the information is correct. The SBA right now is looking at trying to turn these around within 21 days. So it can be relatively quick to get the funding. But again, a great program. And if you are eligible for it, not only having applied for the program before December 27th, I should have mentioned the targeted portion of this is that your business is located in a low income community. There is an interactive map on the SBA website where you can put in your business address to see if you are considered to be in a low income area. But if you are and you're eligible, definitely take a look at this. Make sure you're paying attention to your emails for something coming from the @sba.gov email address. And next, we'll go into the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant a little bit. So this is another new program that's come out. It actually has not even launched yet. Applications are not open yet. We are just heard today, we expect the application process to open early April. And our new administrator, Isabella Casillas Guzman, who was just confirmed by the Senate yesterday, we're expecting her to make an announcement about the launch date for the applications, hopefully in the next week or so. But this program is really targeting performance venues, live venues, entertainment venues, movie theaters, things like that, museums, zoos, aquariums. This spawned from the Save Our Stages campaign. So this is going to provide grant funding to those businesses. The award amount will be based on 45% of the 2019 gross earned revenue for the business. This is a grant. It does not have to be paid back. You do not have to request forgiveness like you would with PPP. But there are some caveats to it. If you do a major change from the American Rescue Plan Act is that you can now apply for both PPP and the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, but you do need to apply for PPP first if you're going to do that. PPP first, subsequently Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. Any PPP amount you receive after December 27th of 2020 will be deducted from your Shuttered Venue Operators Grant award, but still can be a significant amount. So definitely, if you are a venue operator or promoter, entertainment venue, take a look at this program, check the eligibility, check the requirements for applications, and we urge you to look into the program because it can provide some significant relief to your business. And with that, Ron, I'll turn it back to you. I do see we are getting short on time.
Yeah, we are short on time. I just want to do one more thing, if I could, Congresswoman, just point out that the website, sba.gov, is what you're going to see right here. And simply, if you hover under funding programs and you go to Corona Relief Options, you'll go partway down the page and you're going to find all the options we just talked about: Paycheck Protection Program, EIDL, the grant, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, etc. down the page. It's really good information. All your application information here is going to under Paycheck Protection Program. And again, stay tuned if you can for one of our webinars that we have on these programs, and hopefully we can get you more comfortable with applying, and you can make that move as quickly as possible. This is what we have today. I just wanted to cover, make sure we stayed within the time constraint. And so if there are any questions, we'll be here to answer those questions if we can.
Congresswoman, you're on mute.
There we go. All right. Thank you very much for that very comprehensive presentation. I know we are running short on time, but I do want to give the other speakers prepare presentation because I know you would find it very, very informative. So now I'd like to ask Mr. Juhanian, can you please share your insights into the employee retention tax credit?
Yes, absolutely, Congresswoman. Thank you so much. And my portion is very brief here, but it's very important. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as well. So one of the more overlooked new programs under the CARES Act was the Employee Retention Tax Credit, which understandably was overlooked for a little while because you couldn't both participate in this program and also the Paycheck Protection Program. So people opted for the PPP just because it was more attractive for them. But fortunately, after the Economic Aid Act that passed in December, Congress made some changes which said that you can both apply for the Employee Retention Tax Credit and for PPP. So people are taking a second look at this, not only because you can apply for both, but actually it got more attractive. So the folks who are eligible for this are businesses which have 500 or fewer employees. And it is essentially a $7,000 tax credit, which could be applied for each quarter of your taxes going back to 2000. So what you would do is you would compare your receipts for 2001 to back to 2009, so you can get a glimpse of how your business is doing respective to prior to the pandemic hitting. And so if you compare that and you had a 20% decline in gross receipts, you would be eligible for this employee retention tax credit. The other way that you would be eligible is if your business was forced to shut down by a local, state, or federal government. So if you're forced to close your doors for that period of time, you're also eligible to receive this employee retention tax credit. Again, it's $7,000 per employee per quarter. So the tax credit is refundable and it's advanceable for up to, this says $14,000. Actually, with the most recent American Rescue Plan, which passed last week, that's up to $28,000. You can go up to December 31st, 2021 and claim this credit for each one of the quarters. Again, it's businesses with 500 or fewer employees. It's more for, they would have to have more than a 20% decline of gross receipts in a quarter compared to 2019, or if your business was forced to shut its doors. The good news about this new tax credit is that not only are you eligible for 2021, but you can actually go back in 2020. If you didn't apply for this initially because you said, well, I already applied for PPP, I can't do both. The good news is this is retroactive, so you can apply for it last year as well. The only difference is for last year, the tax credit was only for $5,000 and not for up to $28,000 like it is for 2021. So I urge you, if you're interested in this tax credit, please speak to your bookkeeper or your accountant. Even a lot of payroll companies are handling this right now, like ADP. Reach out to them as quickly as possible because, like I said, this is not only refundable, but it's advanceable. You could get the funding, the taxes before you file your taxes, so that you won't have cash flow issues. So this is a very important tax credit, and I urge all the small businesses in Congresswoman Kim's district to take a hard look at it. Thank you.
Right. Now let's go to Mr. Daniel of SBDC, and I'd like to ask him to share his insight into the California Relief Grant and staff program.
Yeah, no, if I could just touch on the employee retention tax credit just real quickly, because it is a difficult one to understand and completely comprehend, but there's actually two portions of it. You can actually go backwards into 2020 now and claim up to $10,000 on the back end of 2020. We just helped a bakery that qualified, got $60,000 of PPP, also just got $58,000 of employee retention tax credit. So just so you know, as you're hearing all of this today, it's overwhelming, right? There is a lot of different programs that are out there. So we want you, we don't expect you guys to know all these things as you're going through this. We really want you to know that, we're here to help you through some of these pieces. So I'm going to cover some of the state pieces that are available to you. I'm going to start with the California Relief Grant, which is a state grant program through the Governor's Office of California. There's currently $2.5 billion of grant funding in this program. And so we are currently on round 4, but just to kind of briefly touch on it, these are for businesses that did between $1,000 of gross revenue to $2.5 million of gross revenue in 2020 and really 2019. And then the effects that COVID had on that business. So that's really the qualifier. So businesses, and I'm going to try not to make you sick as I scroll down this. I just want to get to kind of the eligibility pieces. So businesses that did between $1,000 and $100,000 of gross revenue, and this is not gross profit, this is gross revenue in 2019 would qualify for a $5,000 grant. Businesses that did between $100,000 to $1 million would qualify for $15,000 grant. And then from $1 million up to $2.5 million would qualify for a $25,000 grant. And that is also open to nonprofits, 501c3s, C6s, and C19s. So the best place to find information on this is the careliefgrant.com site. We do a webinar every day at 11 o'clock going through this, and we can definitely help you one-on-one through this if you haven't already applied. If you have applied and you're on the wait list, just keep in mind that the first 2 rounds, there was $500 million in it. In rounds 3, 4, 6, there's a little over $2 billion. So maybe you weren't selected in the first couple of rounds. You have a lot better chance of being selected in the coming rounds, and you don't need to apply again. You just need to apply one time. So that's the California Relief Grant. I do want to talk about the California Rebuilding Fund, which is a little known loan program. And I know we're not necessarily all looking for loans in our business, but right now during COVID, it's survival, right? So whatever I need to do to survive, this may be an option. But just so you're aware, this is run through GoBiz, the governor's office put money into this. There's currently $37.5 million in this program. It's run through the community development financial institutions, and you can qualify for up to $100,000. It's taking 3 months of gross revenues prior to COVID, and whatever that dollar amount is, up to $100,000, that's what you would qualify up to. Now, again, I said that this is a loan, so there are interest rates, and it's payable. It's 4.25% interest. It's a fixed rate, and it's up to a 60-month term. And as I stated earlier, I know that a loan may not be exactly what you're looking for, but it is another option for you. And what we want to do is talk about all the different options that are available to you. The last program that I'm going to talk about is the California STEP Grant and the Individual Company Export Promotion Program. This is also run through the Small Business Administration and SBA, and it's given to the governor's office and run through GoBiz, which is the governor's office of Business and Economic Development. And so this is for businesses that are doing international trade, and this is a $5,000 grant to businesses. And I'll just kind of quickly go through what the qualifying expenses could be for. It could be if you're going on a trade mission, or if you're going to an international trade show, it's up to $5,000 for those. If you're looking at different export research tools for your business, it could cover up to $2,000. If you're looking to take your website and do website translation and search engine optimization, if you're looking to go into other countries, it will cover up to $5,000 for that. And then the cost of compliance testing for a product, fees for shipment of samples, fees associated with intellectual property protections, and some other things. So it's a $5,000 grant if you are already doing international trade, if it's something that you're looking to get into. So again, not perfect for everybody, but for a lot of businesses, you maybe didn't even know that this existed. And this just rolled out starting March 1st, this newest grant. They just bumped it up to $5,000. And you can go onto the californiaexport.org site and go to ICEP. And so that's what it's up here at the top. But just so you're aware, so the California STEP Individual Company Export Promotion Program. And again, this is a federal program that rolls into the state. So all these programs are here for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Manal Risha, who is our director of our Cal State Fullerton SBDC, to talk about, now that you've heard about PPP, round 1, round 2, draw 1, draw 2, draw 3, shuttered venues, the employee retention tax credit, the California Relief Grant, Rebuilding Fund. Where do I start? What do I do? Manal, it's all up to you now to guide them where they need to go. So no pressure.
Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you to all the presenters. We did cover a lot of grounds today. So I guess the key is for you as business owners not to feel overwhelmed. Mike, would you mind stop sharing your screen quickly, please? So don't feel overwhelmed, because the good news is that between all the resources we just mentioned and all of the presenters, there is a lot of no-cost help available to you. Today, I'm going to talk more specifically about the SBDC, who we are and what we do. You can visit our website at OCIESmallbusiness.org. But for those of you who are not familiar with who we are, the SBDC is basically a national program. Our mission is to help you, entrepreneurs and small business owners, and we do it all at no cost whatsoever. Our network, the Orange County Inland Empire Small Business Development Center Network, covers Orange County, San Bernardino County, and Riverside County as well. We have 9 centers and over 100 consultants, as Mike mentioned earlier today, who are standing ready to help you look at these different programs that we talked about today, unfold what could work for you, and look at different opportunities beyond what we just discussed as well. So we do so through the one-on-one assistance. And the great news, as I mentioned, it's all at no cost to you whatsoever. Our program is funded by the SBA. We are also funded by the governor's office, and it's technically your tax dollars at work. So I highly encourage you, if you are not working with an SBDC center or an SBDC consultant yet, please reach out and do so. We can help you not only through these different programs. We are here standing ready to help you figure out how you can create more revenue, how you can reduce your expenses, access to capital, everything we covered today and more, find more customers and retain customers. These are some of the things we are able to assist you with. The website I'm sharing my screen through is our website. So it's ociesmallbusiness.org. You can request a consultation with one click of a button, and then you get connected with our team, and you usually get scheduled with a consultant within less than 24 hours. The one thing I failed to mention about our 100 plus consultants is that they are business owners themselves, and they are experts in their field and specific areas where they are able to guide you and walk you through all of your questions and what you need help with. In addition to the business consulting, we also do offer training. But before I talk about the training, which is also at no cost, I would like to bring to your attention, the specific resource that we have that's basically a page or multiple pages dedicated to summarizing local grants and local loan programs that are available to you. So please take a look, take advantage of that resource. It's amazing. And, we can definitely help get you answers if we don't have answers or solutions internally. The page I'm sharing here is just a summary of some of the programming that we have available to help you. Mike mentioned also about the California Relief Grant Program. We are holding daily webinars, and we started those webinars last week on Friday. So please register ociesbdc.org/CA relief. Those webinars, we share the latest update and the latest information that we have, and we answer your questions as well. And also, as mentioned by Ron earlier today, we do have our Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays Ask SBDC 3 p.m. webinars, where we answer your questions and we discuss the latest information pertaining to the different programs that we covered today and additional resources as well. I will share those links in the chat box for those of you who are interested, but I encourage you, give us a call or visit our website. Our website is ociesmallbusiness.org, or you can call us at 800-616-SBDC. And I promise you, you will be aligned with a consultant in less than 24 hours to help you. So I'm gonna stop sharing, and thank you so much for your attention. Congresswoman Kim?
Thank you. Thank you all the speakers and panelists for your insights. Truly, we covered a lot of programs, and you shared a lot of information, but we do have many questions that people have submitted. So I would like to take time, and we may go over the scheduled hour, but if the panelists allow us to go through it, we'll try to do that as much as possible. Is that okay with you? Remember, these are questions that we received from you. So let's go through the first question. I think this may have been already covered by the presentation, but let me review it, and then feel free to jump in and give a very short, quick answers. First is, our business has been waiting to apply for the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant for a while now. When should I expect the SBA to begin accepting grants? This program has not even begun yet, but you can repeat what you just presented.
Sure. So that one, we are hoping and expecting the application process to launch in early April. The new administrator for the SBA, Isabella Casillas Guzman, who was confirmed yesterday by the Senate, we expect her to make an announcement about that in the next week. So hopefully within the week or so, we'll know the exact launch date.
Thank you. The second question is, with the PPP deadline fast approaching on March 31, is Congress looking to extend the deadline? As I mentioned to you, I was very happy to let you know that this was my bipartisan bill, and we are extending the deadline from March 31 to give small businesses to apply for 2 more months, and the SBA will have 30 more days to process applications. And I'm really hoping that the Senate will quickly pass the companion bill so that small businesses can get the support they need immediately. I know Senator Collins is one of the lead authors on this one. The next question goes, it's from Gloria Lan of Los Angeles, and I know it's in the chat box too. We have applied for the second row of PPP, but still have not received reply from lender. Is there any way that we can check the status? Maybe SBA representative would be able to answer this one.
The best way is to go through your lender and, try to get a status update. They can pulse the lender platform. The communication is going to be between the lender and our SBA team on the platform. So that's where the information will come back and forth. If there's an issue or a hold, that's where they will address that and hopefully speed up the process by telling the borrower exactly what they have to provide.
And we will also make our office numbers available so we can follow up on this on your behalf as well. If you are any audience, especially Gloria, you asked this question, please contact our office and we'll make that information available. The next question comes from Andy Wen from Placentia. How do I start the process of applying? I'm getting unemployment. Can I apply for the assistance? I think this can be responded to from SBDC representatives.
Yeah, so absolutely. It's if you are receiving unemployment or if you're receiving pandemic unemployment assistance, kind of based on your structure of your business, you can receive some of these other funds. It's just making sure that you're not double dipping into them, right? So if you're getting PPP, you can't take all of them at the same time, right? You need to figure out how to take it and how to do it properly and legally. And the same thing, with the California Relief Grant, you can apply for it and you can use it for payroll. But again, you just don't want to double dip into unemployment, PPP, and this relief grant that all covers the same thing. You can't do that. And it's very individualized but you give us a call and we'll help you through to understand it.
In the chat box, we are making the web links as well as some contact information available. But again, feel free to contact our office and we'll be very happy to help you. The next question comes from Robert Bruce of Antioch. What is the status of HR 890? It's called the JIMS Act of 2021. I'd like to make sure they include roller rinks in the bill. This one I can quickly respond to you. HR 890 was introduced into the House and referred to the Committee on Small Business Committee on February 5th of this year. I sit on the Small Business Committee, but my Democratic colleagues that control the committee have not yet initiated any new actions since February 5 when the bill was introduced. So I will keep a close eye on this bill and share the movement on this legislative process. Now, the next question comes from Jack O. Brea, and also Steve Hastings, Hacienda Heights, Jonathan Tsai of Hacienda Heights, similar questions. When do you think all businesses will be fully normalized, and when can we all go back to work full-time in California, and how can we get the economy to open up? Perhaps I can quickly answer this one. I just ask you to please stay-at-home orders and bans on certain business activities controlled by our governor and local governments. So keep an eye on those, the guidelines that is coming down from the state and local governments. I know California is finally starting to reopen. So let's continue to follow public health guidelines so that we can keep infections down and this trend headed in the right direction. The next question comes from Douglas Bocum of Anaheim. I would like to know about working capital sources for a relatively new small business that is impacted by COVID. Maybe SBA and SBDC representatives can each respond to this.
Sure, I guess I will go first. For a newer business that really opened up, either during COVID or post kind of the start of COVID, a lot of these programs don't necessarily, they don't qualify for a lot of the programs that, you had to have had your business and making sales prior to the start of COVID. I would say the one program that I did share with you, the California Rebuilding Fund, is definitely an option for you. That is a loan program. Outside of that, there are some other loan programs. There are lenders out there, from big name banks to smaller lenders that are doing, whether it's Community Advantage loan, and you maybe have never heard of it, but it is an SBA product. There are a lot of different loan products out there that you would still possibly qualify for based on, where you are in the process and, type of business you're opening, collateral, your credit score, things like that. But that is what we do for a living, at the SBDC is we will help package a loan for you and we try to find you the lender. So, if you're interested in trying to find or accessing capital, give us a call, but I'll also let the SBA talk about their own products rather than me talking about their products. So.
Well, thanks, Mike. But I think you really hit it, that, sitting down and talking to the business and finding out what their needs are and what programs might fit. Certainly Community Advantage will come to mind. The microloan program we have, those are loans that are less than $50,000. And maybe one of the SBA products as well, just to get the 7A loan to help you with working capital. We historically, we basically, for new startup businesses, we funded 30% of loans in the new year for startup companies. So not out of the question, of course, depends on the industry and depends on the lender.
Great. Let's see. Next question comes from Steve Vartanyan of Yorba Linda. Are there current forgivable grants for self-employed citizens? I think this means self-employed proprietors, small businesses. Maybe we have a quick answer for this.
Yeah, I'll take it real quick. So yes, they could qualify for a PPP possibly. They could qualify for the California Relief Grant. There's a lot of different options for them. And there's a lot of cities that have gotten involved with funding through the CARES Act that came down. And then my guess is through this newest, the American Recovery Act, I guarantee you there's going to be more grant programs that are either citywide or countywide that they can take advantage of. So reach out to us, reach out to the cities, reach out to your county, reach out to your congressional office, and they will have, the most up-to-date information as to the different types of grant programs available.
Thank you. All right, let's get to the next question. This one comes from Mr. Roy Ohlers of Buena Park. I work for Raytheon Technologies and I'm required to work in the plant 1 to 2 days a week. So how can I get the COVID vaccine? Maybe this one I can quickly answer. The state of California has updated eligibility for the COVID-19 vaccine to include people aged from 16 through 64 who have high-risk medical conditions such as diabetes, individuals who live in high-risk congregate settings, and frontline workers and people aged 65 and older. So to see if you're eligible, you can visit myturn.ca.gov. All right, next question comes from Daphne Da of Hacienda Heights. I'm very puzzled about how to file for PPP and need help. My CPA and bank does not provide help. Who can answer or who can help answer my questions? Maybe Mike Daniel, can you do that?
Yeah, I'm going to start by talking about Adam and Ron, who do a twice a week call. They are the experts in this, and they actually will walk you through the forgiveness on their 2 o'clock calls. So I think they've already put it in the chat, but if you haven't, that is a great place to start. We can also help you with the forgiveness one-on-one, but I think Adam, you probably become and Ron, you guys have become the experts in this. So I'll let you guys talk about it as well.
Well, I don't know if we're experts, but we're certainly learning every day. And, things do change and we try to stay on top of it, but we have a program where it'll guide you through the basics and then through the application, all 3 applications. If you happen to be unfortunate enough to fill out the long form, but we're hopeful that you can get through, we can easily explain to you the short form or the simple form, and then if necessary, the easy form. But we do it all. So we hopefully be able to help you with that. And obviously, Mike, your team is very, very vitally important to, one, you answer many of the questions I know, and And likewise, sitting down face to face sometimes is much better on those interactions.
Great. Well, can we move on to the next question? This one comes from Ms. Hannah Kim of Brea. My youngest daughter's name is Hannah, but definitely she doesn't live in Brea, so this is some other person. Her question is, 80% of our business depends on events like health fairs and trade shows, and 20% of our business is selling products to spas, gyms, and salons. How can California open up and end lockdowns that is continuing to impact my business? If we can't open, how can we get help with marketing so we can sell our products without fairs or trade shows? Let me quickly answer, and then I'm going to ask others to chime in. You know, California finally has started to reopen. Gyms can open indoors with 10% capacity, and salons can open indoors with some modifications. Continuing to follow public health guidelines so we can keep infections down and continue this trend will be important and help us open up the economy further in a safe way. I'd like to ask any of our panelists if you have any resources or additional thoughts that you would like to share.
Yeah, you know, we've helped a lot of people when your business is closed, you know, and a lot of California is closed. It's difficult to sell, you know, locally. So I know Manal has helped a lot of businesses start an online presence, whether that just be to find them or to literally start selling online if you haven't done that, all the way to the far end of if you're already selling online, can we help you sell to other countries? Can we help you think differently, right? And I know e-commerce is not the be all end all for everybody, but it is a good option for a lot of businesses that don't have the ability to sell locally right now. But that's just one option of many.
Thank you. This next question is, I think it's important for a lot of people. The question comes from Mr. Raul Sanchez. Are funds available for places of worship? SBA, SBDC, can you answer this one?
The quick answer is yes. So places of worship, churches can qualify for Paycheck Protection Program, COVID-19 EIDL loan program. So yes, funds can be available. You just need to go through the application process.
Thank you. We have another question here. It comes from Mr. L. Dallas of Diamond Bar. What kinds of grants or low interest loans are available to independent contractors, small businesses, and so forth? Could Mr. Johns or Galati of SBA and Michael from SBDC, can you answer this, please?
Well, as far as the Paycheck Protection Program, that's clearly we have a employer type and independent contractors. So you want to submit separately for that loan amount. You'll be based on your 1099, your Schedule C filing. And again, if you could take the advantage now of filing at the gross level, the line 7, that should maximize your loan amount. So that's one good source. I know you can also take a look at the EIDL program. Adam, do you have a comment about EIDL?
No, same answer, and same as for places of worship. Self-employed individuals, independent contractors, Schedule C filers can qualify for the COVID-19 disaster loan. That loan program a little bit different from PPP. The loan is going to be calculated based on your revenue. So it would be looking at your Schedule C, but you can qualify, and we would encourage you to look at the COVID-19 EIDL program.
I know we are up on the hour here, but there were a lot of questions that you asked, and we try to consolidate similar questions so we can maximize the time that panelists have shared with us this evening. So I want to thank all of you panelists and speakers for taking the time to join us today to share your insights. I encourage everyone to stay up to date on the most recent information available so each of us can do our part to support our businesses. And as I mentioned, my office is always available. Contact our office, and any follow-up regarding following up on your loan applications, where they are. If you have further questions based on the presentation you heard today, we'll be happy to serve as a liaison. Let's see, a lot of websites were shared from our presenters, but to get the most up-to-date information on resources available with small businesses, let me repeat the website, you can go to sba.gov or uschamber.com/coronavirus and OCIE smallbusiness.org. We are already writing this in the chat box too. So to learn more about the overall coronavirus pandemic in California, you can also go to covid19.ca.gov or you can go to my website. If you have not gotten a vaccine yet, we talked about vaccine distribution, vaccine development, you can visit myturn.ca.gov to check your eligibility and to sign up to receive COVID-19 vaccine. So some final thoughts. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight, and especially those who asked questions. Thank you for your participation. It's an honor for me to serve as your representative in Congress. Before we go, I want to remind you, if you need help with casework, or if you want to subscribe to my e-newsletter, or if you'd like to contact me, please visit my website at youngkim.house.gov. Or you can call my district office at 714-984-2440. So thank you again to all of our panelists for joining us this evening. And I would like to thank everyone who took the time to tune in tonight. I wish everyone happy and healthy days ahead. And today is St. Patrick's Day, so don't forget to celebrate the remaining day with your loved ones and your family and relatives. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. And I got my green pin on me. All right. Again,
thank you.
Very helpful.
Thank you, Congresswoman, and have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.